Exactly 1 month ago today, sports betting went live here in Massachusetts. And it's been hard to miss the deluge of commercials, billboards, and online ads we've been seeing ever since. Every major sports event, and some not so major ones, is open for wagering in almost every conceivable way, with well-known athletes and broadcasters fueling the non-stop hype. But there is one major competition you won't be able to bet on this year: the Boston Marathon. Late last week, the State Gaming Commission denied a request from DraftKings Sportsbook to open up betting on the race, citing, quote, insufficient time for the Boston Athletic Association to coordinate and fully ensure proper protocols are in place, end quote. So what does that say about the breakneck pace of the sports betting rollout? And is the State Gaming Commission's rejection of it a sign of regulatory tightening? Here to discuss that, our internationally known gaming industry expert, Father Richard McGowan, an associate professor of finance at Boston College, and Chelsea Turner, Chief of Operations at the Mass Council on Gaming and Health, a nonprofit government-funded agency that's been working to mitigate gambling-related problems here for decades. Welcome to both of you.
Great to be with you, John.
Thanks so much.
So, Chelsea, let's start with you. It's only been a month, but how soon will we start to get a handle on the fallout from sports betting, and how will that be measured?
Well, there's actually already research being done. So UMass has a group that we call Sigma. So they study, it stands for Socioeconomic Impact on Gaming in Massachusetts. And they've already done some initial research, some baseline analysis on sports betting in the state of Massachusetts. So we already know that sports bettors, for example, in Massachusetts, tend to be younger. They tend to be more highly educated. We also know that sports betting is not necessarily more risky than other types of gambling, but sports bettors tend to not just bet on sports, but also bet on other types of gambling, whether it's casino or lottery, and then that does create an enhanced risk. So it's something that's being measured and will continue to be measured.
So it's younger players, college educated or in college, or maybe just out of college. That's where the action is, right?
There's a higher group there than there is in other types of gambling, yes.
Well, Father, you have suggested that the Gaming Commission was caught flat-footed by this advertising onslaught that we've seen, and that it raises questions about their regulatory oversight. How could they not know what was going to happen?
Well, I mean, I doubt they thought the onslaught that was going to happen this frequently. But I think once they allowed the sports gambling to go online, that is what really made the difference, and that's also when the advertising. So when you listen to the tone of the advertising, it sounds as if the sports betting various firms, they're almost giving you away your first couple bets and almost to entice you to get in. It's kind of like the old when you bought an inkjet printer. They gave you the printer for nothing, and then all of a sudden you had to pay for all the ink a lot. And so it's the same thing here. You know, the come-ons from the sports betting, it's kind of interesting. And again, as your promo brought in here, it's who you even have. I mean, so you hear the sports personalities, the sports talk personalities. That's all they talk about.
Yeah, right in the middle of a game, they're parsing the odds. Chelsea, same question for you. Were you surprised when the floodgates opened by the nature of the flood?
I can't say I was surprised. It's something I've been following for quite some time. So when a new type of gambling is introduced, whether it's sports gambling or casino gambling, you're going to see an increased amount of advertising. But of course, I have two boys, and we watch a lot of Red Sox. And so when you are looking at the Green Monster or you're looking at the pitcher's mound and you see sports betting advertising everywhere, it sometimes there's pause for concern. So how can we regulate it in a way that's responsible? How can we counterbalance some of the promotional advertising with responsible gambling messaging and promoting the problem gambling helpline.
Well, Father McGowan, I mean, we are not the first state to introduce smartphone betting and sportsbook wagering. And there are other states that have restricted the advertising much more than us, in some cases even banned it. Did the legislature fall asleep at the switch?
Well, remember, it's not the legislature, it's the Gaming Commission. It really, I mean, in other words, the legislature turned over to the Gaming Commission the responsibility to regulate gambling. Again, I doubt that the Gaming Commission ever thought that the amount of advertising was going to take place as they did, even the type of advertising. So I doubt that ever even came up to their minds. But it's interesting you mentioned this. The recent figures of sports gambling just came in for the state of Maryland. By the way, which started a month before. Only 3%. By the way, they made $800 million was spent on sports gambling in Maryland. Only 3% was done at a casino. So the vast majority, 97% of all the sports gambling is online. And that's another more interesting. How do you regulate, once you put something online like gambling, how do you regulate it? It's much more difficult.
Well, the group that Chelsea represents works very hard to address gambling addiction with creative educational programs. They do things like voluntary self-exclusion, where gamblers can set limits on their own wagering. But Chelsea, correct me if I'm wrong here, but your budget's just a few million bucks. Isn't this a mismatch with the resources of the multi-billion-dollar gambling industry?
Well, of course, more resources would always be helpful, and we're doing the best that we can. I would say that one of the good things that's happening, and I've sat through, days and days of hearings from the Gaming Commission about the regulations, is that right now they're really passing temporary regulations. And you've already seen them start to put some safeguards and guardrails around the advertising. For example, you're not going to see the words risk-free betting in Massachusetts. Now they've gotten kind of clever on how they've gotten around that, but you're going to see things like that. They're requiring, responsible gambling messaging on in lots of different ways. They have limit setting tools, and that's one of the really good things about online sports betting is you can set, wagering limits, deposit limits, time limits. Those are all really good things. In addition, they have voluntary self-exclusions and cooling off periods at the Mass Council. One of the things we're most proud of is over the last, probably it's now been over the last couple of years, we've developed a mechanism by which people can voluntarily self-exclude remotely. So if you want to self-exclude, you can simply call our number and then do that remotely, face-to-face with a live person, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So that is great for somebody that doesn't want to walk into a sports book, wants to talk to a live person, might want to know about where to get resources like where their local Gambler Anonymous meeting is, et cetera, where if they want to get a clinician, whatever is most comfortable for that individual, we'll walk through all of the available resources that are local and specific to that person.
Well, just quickly, for someone who's hearing this and maybe wondering, gee, I might be able to use that, what is the number? Why don't you give that out?
The number we're really promoting right now is 1-800-GAMBLER, and we're doing that for a lot of reasons. We're moving in that direction because one of the issues is a lot of different states have different numbers, so that's the national number. So 1-800-GAMBLER. All
right. Well, Richard, I assume you share the utmost respect that I have for the work that the Mass Council does. It's extremely valuable work. But realistically, are the measures they're taking any match with the marketing guile, clout, and money of the gambling industry?
Well, I hear what you're saying, John, but unless somehow I would imagine, clearly not. But at the same time, I often wonder, with the gambling industry, eventually, they might end up being the next cigarette industry, where we'll ban certain kind of advertising and we'll put certain warning labels on things. I guess I'm bringing myself way back when I did a doctoral dissertation on the cigarette industry. But it's interesting about what segment of society is actually being affected by this, and I think you might see a pushback a lot more than you right now you're thinking. I think there's going to be a pushback by certain segments because you are talking about more middle class people who are interested in this type of gambling.
Well, color me skeptical, with all due respect, because this has always been a state that loved gambling for many years. We were the #1 lottery spending state per capita, but when it comes to gambling literacy, Chelsea, you pointed out to one of our producers earlier today, we're far from #1. First of all, what is gambling literacy, and why is our lack of it a problem?
So there's something internationally in the research world called the positive play scale, and it's a way to measure gambling-related harm. And so we have done some of that analysis in the state of Massachusetts with Massachusetts bettors. And so it looks at belief subscales and behavior subscales, and one of the 4 main subscales is gambling literacy. And we know that Massachusetts bettors tend to score a little bit less on that. What it is knowing what you're actually doing when you play the game. So if you play blackjack, most people probably don't realize that depending on what table that you sit down at, the odds might be different. Similarly, when you wager on sports betting online, if you're making a money line bet versus a parlay bet, the house edge, or where the house advantage is significantly different between those two types of bets. So we want folks, and I think we share this in common with the operators, to be healthy players. We're gambling neutral, but we want people to make wise choices when it's coming to gambling and understand what they're doing, understand what the inherent risks are, set budgets, play responsibly, have a good time, but also know when to walk away.
Yeah, but Richard, it's the oldest cliche in the book that the house always wins. Everybody knows that. And we've had casino gambling for over a decade here, and the house continues to win big. I just wonder about without being too cynical here, about the limits of education to break through to the betting population.
Well, even more, the thing about sports gambling, it could be a little bit insidious, is that especially if you get younger males, they think if they can do their homework, they can beat the odds. In other words, and I certainly saw that all the years when I taught at undergrads. They all thought that and of course the worst thing happened is when they won early, because then they really thought they could always beat the odds. But educating people, I think the odds, like blackjack, the casino games, but I think that's what's the more insidious thing about sports gambling, because it's probably, in a lot of people's minds, it's considered skill gambling. There's no luck there. If you really did your homework, you wouldn't lose. And of course, guess what? You will.
Well, we're just about out of time here, but I'd like you each to just take a few seconds to play the wishing game. If your fondest wish for something that could happen that would help you do your work were to be granted, Chelsea, what would it be? A bigger budget?
I'm going to have to take 2 wishes, if that's okay. Wish 1, of course, a bigger budget, but wish 2 would be for there to be more data and research. So, and that takes collaboration between the regulators as well as the operators. So right now, there's a lot of self-regulation happening within the industry. So, a DraftKings might know about all their players and have a player profile, and they might actually know that some folks might be at risk. But with sports betting, a lot of sports bettors have registered on 2, 3, 4, 5 different apps. So really, you're not getting a whole picture of that individual person. So knowing more about the data, knowing more about cooling off periods and VSEs, what works, what doesn't, how can we refine it? What are ways that we can communicate better? While advertising the helpline is important, what other messages can we be getting out there that are going to resonate with people, young folks, old folks, et cetera. And then third, just really paying attention to young folks,
Right.
that demographic under 30. We're starting to see things like, universities and colleges partnering with sports betting operators. And that is definitely pause for concern when you have a stadium full of folks here that aren't 21,
Right.
et cetera. So thinking about that.
All right. Well, Father McGowan, I'm sorry she took all your time.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Listen, thank you both for your insight. Really appreciate it.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Yep.